Now, if you're at this stage where you feel like things are beginning to fall into place, you've won your first couple of clients and you know it's all starting to make a bit of sense, one of the really important things is about qualifying clients. Now, the reason I didn't mention this in the startup phase of these lessons was the fact that ultimately the clients you may take on when you immediately start are going to be very different to the clients that you take on a longer term basis. But it all comes back to finding the right people. Now, I'm very guilty of this in the sense that when an inquiry comes along, you go, oh my God, I've got to take this, because there's kind of that anxiety and pressure behind you that you never know where your next job is going to come from. Suddenly, if your existing clients leave, you're going to be left with nothing. With that though, I've realised, particularly in the last year, that that isn't the case. Now, the fact is that if you don't feel that a lead is a good fit, then don't pursue it. There will be another one that comes along in the future. Ultimately, how you decide as to who to work with and who not to work with is based very much on gut instinct. It's about whether you like the person that you're potentially speaking to, and it's about whether you find the industry or the service that you're offering to that industry interesting. The hard thing that I find with this is that a lot of industries which typically would be labelled as boring, I find quite interesting. And it's not necessarily the thing they do, it might be a very specific nuances to what they're doing in that industry. Or indeed, it might be the fact that they have a very boring industry, but the people are really interesting for who you're going to be working with. So on the one hand, there's kind of that personality and social fit. You've also got to evaluate how much money they're willing to pay up front. And as we've discussed in previous lessons, you may consider working for free, but you've also got to look at how much they are paying now. You've also got to evaluate how much they are willing to pay going forwards. So to give you an example, I landed a project which was hopefully going to lead to more work, which I was able to charge £95 an hour for, which is incredible. But ultimately you go, great, I'm earning £95 an hour. But to be honest, it ended up just being a one-off project and then I never heard from them again. Other clients may pay you less, but if they pay for longer, then the total revenue that you can make from that client, the lifetime value, as it were, can be a lot higher. So you've also got to look at sort of where things may potentially lead as well. The other area, of course, is other areas of digital marketing that you might be able to help them with. One of the things which I've seen with a lot of clients is that you start off offering one service and it kind of opens your eyes to the other areas of marketing which they may not have thought about. Working with a client for a few months kind of really helps to reinforce the relationship you have and demonstrates you as the expert. So away from the area of digital marketing you are working in specifically, it also potentially opens up those conversations about other areas of digital marketing which you might be able to help out with. That can work again in two ways. One, that either you take on the work yourself, or number two, that you can introduce someone that also you can collaborate with either on a commission basis or just because they're helping you out, which reinforces the client relationship so that you can all do a better job for that client's business. So all in all, looking at a client, don't just look at them in the here and now, look at what they can potentially bring in the future. Some clients can be great in the here and now, but actually the future for them, it might be quite short-lived, whereas other clients, it can be the complete opposite. So when it comes to your next digital marketing client, try and incorporate some of this thinking as well as to kind of what they can bring both now and going forwards.